Hey guys, this is Toph. Today we're going to be talking about Phantom, Requiem for the Phantom, and discussing why it is or isn't worth watching. Let's begin. So, Phantom, Requiem for the Phantom is about a coalition of high-profile underground organizations known as Inferno that kidnap a young Japanese man and forces him to be an assassin under Ein, aka Inferno's Phantom. The story details his new life as an assassin named Zwei, as he develops the physical and emotional skills necessary to justify and carry out killing people in order to survive. So essentially, the organization is threatening to kill him if he doesn't become an assassin and kill people for them. The circumstances behind that I don't want to reveal right now because that's kind of spoiler territory, but that's essentially what it is. So the show focuses on considering the value of human life, self-preservation and selfishness, and the consequences of, quote, living by the sword. In the end, it forces you to recognize that even though the MCs have non-malicious intent in their killings, they have still committed atrocities for the sake of their own survival. The show makes you empathize with them while reminding you that in the end they are still murderers and broken human beings all around. So the artwork and music, they fit the dark themes, and there was never any time where I, thought, oh, okay, this doesn't match the setting or the circumstances of what's happening, but none of them, I don't particularly remember any especially great moments of music or artwork either. It's just all suitable and fine. None of it's bad, none of it's particularly good. That I personally remember. Keep in mind that I don't really put a lot of stock into these two things. I mean, I love good-looking artwork and music, of course, but I'm not overly critical or overly accepting of any of it. For the most part, most animes just have average artwork and music for me, so this one's not really an exception. There might be points that other people would think are bad or good, but for me, it was just all pretty okay or good. So the main cons enter spoiler territory, and so I don't want to focus on them too much, but suffice to say, the character motivations sometimes seem a bit stretched to fit the narrative of the plot. It's not a huge issue, but one of my favorite characters makes a transition in which the reason for her change seems a bit outlandish, both from her perspective and the actions, or lack thereof, from the main character that caused it. It's not a huge issue, but it did bother me a bit personally. So, would I recommend Requiem for the Phantom? Yes, but conditionally. This isn't a fun or happy anime. It will neither give you hope for mankind, joy, or any insight that anyone remotely fortunate in their lives could put to use. It is, however, very intriguing and engenders philosophical contemplation of scenarios and ideas for those who enjoy considering human nature and their own psyche. I found myself thinking on how I would justify the actions taken by the MCs, only to find that often they would use the very same lines of reasoning that I had considered. So in the end, I would essentially sum Phantom Requiem for the Phantom as an action-packed, psychological type of anime. It's sort of it's in between. There's lots of action, lots of stuff happening within the plot itself, but also it's very psychological. A lot of it is about the thoughts behind the actions as opposed to just the actions themselves. So I think if you enjoy that sort of thing and you think that sounds interesting, then absolutely it's worth a watch. I personally really enjoyed it. It's very mature, pretty dark. But if you're just looking for like something that's just like pure awesomeness all the time, or something that's going to make you happy, then I'm not sure I could recommend. I mean, I could still recommend it just in general, but if you're looking for that in specific, then this isn't for you. So anyways, it's sort of a conditional yes, but I still give it a decently strong yes. In the description below, I will leave links to several anime that I think are similar to Requiem for the Phantom and give brief examples on how I think they are similar and dissimilar, and an overall likelihood of the chances I think liking one will lead to liking the other. I'd like to point out 3 anime specifically here in the discussion though. The first being Kara no Kyokai, or the Garden of Sinners series, which I've covered before, and think has a high correlation to Requiem for the Phantom. I do believe that of the two, Kara no Kyokai is the better series, but if you like one, I think there's a good chance you will like the other. The second is a sort of honorable mention that would have made a top spot in being similar, if not for a few things. Grisaia no Kajitsu, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, aka the fruit of Grisaia, has several qualities that link it to Requiem for the Phantom. However, it has much slower build-up and has a lot of ecchi nonsense thrown into the mix. If you think you can handle those two things, though, it's a pretty interesting anime to get into. Finally, I think Parasyte is the best show to watch if you like Requiem for the Phantom. It has a supernatural setting and is a bit slower pace, but the core themes and vibes are very similar, and I could recommend it to anyone regardless of whether or not you like Requiem for the Phantom. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this Toph Talks anime, and I will talk to you guys in the next video.